Sometimes all it takes is a single minute for kindness to be mistaken for a crime. Get away from him! Let my boy go, you kidnapper! The scream sliced through the storm. Beneath a leafless tree in Riverside Park, 16-year-old Jamal Carter froze, breath ragged, his hoodie drenched, and his hands coated in mud. In his trembling arms was 10-year-old Leo Vance, a frail, pale boy, son of a tech billionaire, shivering like a frightened bird. Jamal didn't understand what was happening. Just minutes ago, he had pulled the child out of a pit of mud where he could have drowned. Now, he was being screamed at like a criminal. Karen Miller, the middle-aged caretaker assigned to watch over Leo, came charging across the park like a gust of fury. Her phone was raised, the camera already recording, her voice shrill against the rain. "I've called 911, she cried. "He's trying to kidnap a disabled boy. Somebody help!" Jamal stood frozen, words caught in his throat. "No, that's not—" But the rain swallowed his voice whole. Leo clung to his chest, tears mixing with the downpour. "No, Aunt Karen, you're wrong! He saved me!" The child's voice cracked, weak but pleading. Karen didn't hear him. Or rather, she didn't want to. In her eyes flashed something sharper than fear, colder than panic. Calculation. The rain poured harder, washing away the difference between innocence and guilt. Jamal only tightened his hold on the boy to shield him from the storm, and from the shame already soaking into his bones, and somewhere beneath the thunder, one question echoed quietly. How could an act of kindness turn into a crime in less than a minute? To find the answer, we have to go back 3 hours earlier. 3 hours earlier, the rain had not yet fallen. Morning light slipped through the cracks of an old curtain and rested on Jamal Carter's thin hands as he carefully counted every wrinkled dollar bill on the kitchen table. $30 for Grandma Rose's heart medicine, $25 for food, $12.50 left for everything else, from soap to bus fare. He sighed and forced a smile, as if that smile could somehow stretch the numbers a little further. From the bedroom, Grandma Rose's weak but cheerful voice drifted out, still carrying that touch of humor that refused to fade. "Jamal, are you counting money or my gray hairs?" "Both, Grandma," he answered playfully. "You know, your hair's practically a national treasure." She let out a small laugh that turned quickly into a cough. Jamal rushed to pour her some water and help her sit up. "I've told you," she said, between short breaths, still smiling. "Your heart is bigger than this world. And that's why it gets hurt so easily. Remember, Jamal, being kind isn't enough. You have to be careful, too." Jamal smiled silently. Deep down, he always believed that if the world had just one more kind person, it might be a little less cruel. He didn't know that. Only hours later, that same kindness would be tested to its limits. That noon, Jamal had a shift at Morton's grocery. Mr. Morton, the old gray-haired owner, treated him like family. "Looks like heavy rain's coming, Jamal," the man said, glancing at the window. "Take one of the umbrellas from aisle 3. Call it your bonus for the month." "Oh, I couldn't, sir," Jamal protested. "That's store stock." Now, Mr. Morton interrupted with a gentle but firm smile. "Take it. The world should treat good people like you a little better." Jamal nodded, smiling in genuine gratitude. As he stepped out, the old TV in the corner droned, "A string of minor thefts in the wealthy neighborhoods near Riverside Park remains unsolved." He didn't pay attention. News about bad people far away had nothing to do with him, or so he thought. Fate was already weaving those loose threads together. A few miles away, on the 32nd floor of a glass skyscraper, Marcus Vance, a tech billionaire and father of Leo Vance, sat motionless before a medical report. "Spinal injury, irreversible," the doctor said softly. "He won't be able to walk again. But what worries me more is his state of mind. The world can be cruel, Mr. Vance." Marcus nodded, his hands tightening. "I know," The problem is, I can't reprogram the world like I can a chip. Since the death of his wife, it had just been the two of them. But lately, Leo had withdrawn more and more. He doesn't want to go outside anymore, Marcus admitted quietly. He says people only see the chair. They don't see him. The doctor gave him a look of sympathy. The boy needs someone who can make him believe in people again. Marcus said nothing. He knew too well that it was harder than building a billion-dollar empire. That afternoon, Karen Miller, the middle-aged woman Marcus had just hired as Leo's new caretaker, arrived to take him for a walk. "Don't worry, Mr. Vance," she assured him. "I've worked for many respectable families. I'll take care of Leo as if he were my own." Marcus nodded. Her record was spotless, her references flawless. But there was something that didn't show on paper: debt and bitterness. When the car stopped at Riverside Park, Karen pulled out her phone. A call flashed across the screen. "Lawyer. Urgent." She glanced at Leo, who sat in his wheelchair with bright, hopeful eyes. "Aunt Karen, can I go feed the ducks?" "All right, but only for a few minutes," she said, answering the call and turning away. Her voice dropped, cold and low. "You were right. I need money, and I'll get it, one way or another. I just need someone to make a big mistake." The words disappeared into the wind. No one heard them, except the park itself. Leo pushed his chair along the dirt path toward the pond. The drizzle began to fall, and the ground quickly turned slick. When one wheel slipped into a patch of mud, he panicked. He tried pushing, turning, but nothing worked. The wheels were stuck, water splashing up to his face. "Aunt Karen! Aunt Karen!" he cried, his small voice trembling. But the rain and the laughter of a few nearby children swallowed his call for help. A couple walked by, glanced over, then turned away. A man walking his dog muttered, "I'm sure someone's watching him." No one stopped. No one thought the boy was truly afraid. Leo felt invisible, just like always. And that was the moment Jamal Carter appeared. Jamal only wanted to get home to the grandmother he loved. Leo only longed for a friend who saw him, not the chair. And Karen. She was searching for a way out. In that storm, 3 worlds were about to collide. One would become a hero, one would be branded a criminal, and one would turn a lie into a weapon. Who do you think will be which? Comment your guess below, hit like, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Because what's coming isn't just a rescue, it's the beginning of a storm. The grocery bag in Jamal's hand felt heavy, but not nearly as heavy as the thoughts filling his mind. The shortcut through Riverside Park would save him 10 minutes, and he just wanted to get home in time to cook dinner for Grandma Rose. But through the thickening rain, a faint cry broke the sound of thunder. "Help! Somebody, please!" Jamal stopped. Something flickered inside him. Instinct? Or maybe that heart Grandma Rose always said was too big for this world. He took a breath and ran toward the voice. In the middle of the muddy path, a small boy, about 10, sat trapped in a wheelchair. The wheels sunk deep in wet earth. His pale hands strained uselessly, his lips trembling. In that moment, Jamal didn't see a rich kid. He saw pure fear. The kind that makes the world stop. Grandma's voice echoed in his head. The heart is meant to love and to help. Jamal, whether people understand or not. Without hesitation, he dropped the bag and plunged into the mud. "Hey, kid! Don't be scared! I'm coming!" he shouted, his tone somehow warm despite the freezing rain. Mud gripped his legs, soaking through the sneakers he'd saved 3 months to buy. Each step made a wet sound, heavy and slow, but he kept moving. Reaching the wheelchair, he grabbed the frame and tried to lift it out. The rain hit his face hard. His phone buzzed in his pocket, sparked, and died. Now, there was only him, the boy, and the storm. Everything else, money, food, shoes, even the phone with Grandma's photos, was gone. The only thing that mattered was saving the boy. "What's your name?" he asked, loud enough to cut through the rain but gentle. He wasn't asking for information, he was distracting fear. "Leo," came the weak reply. "My legs. They don't move." "That's okay, Leo," Jamal said, calm but certain. "You've got resting legs, and I've got strong arms. We'll make a good team." He tried to push again, but the chair only sank deeper. Taking a breath, he looked up and smiled. "I've got another idea," he said, eyes steady. "I'll carry you. Arms around my neck, tight, don't worry. I'm strong, trust me." Leo hesitated. He'd been carried before, by doctors, nurses, his father. Always gentle, always afraid to break him. But Jamal was different. There was no pity, only quiet certainty. "Are you sure?" "I'm heavy," Leo whispered. "Nope," Jamal smiled. "Grandma says I'm strong as an ox." It was a lie, but the most beautiful one Leo had ever heard. Jamal bent, slipped his arms under Leo's knees and back, and lifted. The mud was slick, the rain cold on his skin. Leo gasped, then exhaled when he felt Jamal's steady grip. "See? Told you. I've got you." He rested his head on Jamal's shoulder, breathing in the smell of rain, cheap soap, and warmth. And for the first time in months, Leo's heart felt something. It was beating again. Jamal carried him to a wooden bench under a wide oak tree. The branches blocked most of the rain. He set Leo down, breathing hard, then pulled off his only hoodie and wrapped it around the boy. "Here, take it. I'm not cold," he said. Leo smiled faintly. "You're crazy, but I like your kind of crazy." "Yeah," Jamal laughed softly. "Grandma says that too." For a brief moment, between two strangers from two worlds, kindness was the only thing that remained pure. Across the path, Karen Miller stood under the cafe awning, phone still in hand after ending a call with her lawyer. At first, when she saw Leo and the mud-covered teenager, her stomach dropped. Losing her job would be the least of her problems. Then another thought came, cold, fast, and sharp. If this looked like an attack, who could blame me? Her heart raced, not from fear but calculation. The spot was perfect, close enough to see, far enough to stay uninvolved. She wiped her phone screen and opened the camera. This wasn't panic, it was strategy. A crime staged from a distance. She zoomed in carefully. The image blurred just enough to look real. The mud and wheelchair were cropped out. All that remained was a dark-skinned teen gripping a crying white boy. She tilted her head, smirked, and whispered, "Perfect." Then she hit record. Less than a minute later, she stopped filming. The short clip, just enough for the story she would tell. Taking a deep breath, she prepared for the performance of her life. Then she burst from the awning, screaming into the storm, "Help! Somebody help! He's kidnapping my son! Get away from him!" The scream sliced through the rain. Jamal froze. Leo stared, horrified. "Aunt Karen? No, it's not like that." But she didn't listen. She didn't have to. Karen pressed her phone again, trembling fingers dialing 911, her voice breaking just enough to sound perfect. "Please, send someone to Riverside Park. A disabled child is being attacked." When the operator confirmed the call, Karen looked up, tears mixing with rain. Not from fear, but from the thrill of a perfect lie. The rain had turned into a white curtain when the Bentley screeched to a halt against the curb. Marcus burst out of the car, his $1,000 suit instantly drenched. But he didn't care. All his senses collapsed into one, the sight of his son crying in the arms of a mud-covered stranger. "Get your hands off him!" Marcus roared, his voice slicing through the storm as he charged forward without thinking. Karen rushed to intercept him, playing the part of the frantic protector perfectly. "Mr. Vance, no! He could be armed!" "I already called the police," she cried, holding up her phone, trembling. "Look, I filmed it!" "He attacked the boy." Marcus snatched the phone from her hand. The blurry, shaking video hit him like a punch to the chest. He wasn't thinking anymore. He was only a father. "I'll kill you," he growled, eyes locked on Jamal. Jamal stood frozen in the rain, lips moving but no words coming out. Leo screamed, voice cracking under the weight of panic. "Dad, no! She's lying! He saved me! My chair got stuck!" Marcus stopped dead. For a moment everything went silent. He could only hear the pounding of his own heart, heavy and offbeat. One part of him wanted to believe his son. The other part, the one dulled by fear, habit, and prejudice, pulled him back toward the phone glowing in his hand. He stood there, suspended between two truths, not knowing whether the thing running down his face was rain, or his faith melting away. In the distance, sirens wailed, cutting through the storm. Two officers stepped out of their patrol car, one older, one young. Their eyes scanned the scene. Karen weeping, Marcus Vance in a soaked designer suit, and a black teenager standing motionless in the rain. The verdict was made before the first question left their lips. The older officer drew his gun. "Hands up now!" "Wait! Jamal stammered, the shock running ice-cold down his spine. "Hands up!" The officer shouted again. "No, stop! He saved me!" Leo cried, his voice breaking. But no one listened. Behind Marcus, Karen leaned close enough for the officers to hear her trembling whisper, "Be careful. He's unstable. He tried to hit me when I stepped in." Jamal stepped back, fists clenched so tightly they bled. In his mind, Grandma Rose's voice came softly, painfully. "Your heart's too big for this world, Jamal. But kindness alone won't make them believe." He lifted his head, rain sliding down his face, eyes glowing in defiance. Maybe God was watching. He just wasn't speaking yet. The younger officer moved forward, handcuffs ready. And that was when Leo did the unthinkable. Gathering every bit of strength he had, the boy shoved himself off the bench and crashed onto the wet ground. "Ah!" The sound startled everyone. "Leo!" Marcus cried, rushing toward him. But Leo raised his head, mud and tears streaking his face, fury blazing in his eyes. He didn't look at his father. He looked straight at Karen. "Lies! It's all lies!" His voice tore through the rain. "Dad, don't believe her. Check her phone. She was on a call with her lawyer for 20 minutes while I was stuck. Just check it." Leo's words hit Marcus like thunder. He looked at his son, covered in mud, trembling with rage and truth. And then at Karen. Under the flash of lightning, he saw her lips twitch, her hand clutching her phone so tightly her knuckles turned white. Marcus straightened slowly. The anger didn't vanish. It shifted. He stepped toward her, voice low and sharp as ice. "Give me your phone, now. I didn't do anything. I just... Give it." It wasn't a request. It was a command. Karen's hands shook as she handed it over. Marcus didn't need to be a detective. The call log glared back at him like a verdict. "Lawyer, 19 minutes, 47 seconds. Silence followed, broken only by the rain. The older officer lowered his gun, shame hardening his face. The younger one looked away. Marcus said nothing. He handed the phone to the officers, then turned, his gaze falling on the deep tracks in the mud and the abandoned wheelchair. A silent witness to everything. He closed his eyes. "I almost destroyed an innocent boy. I didn't believe my own son." The older officer cleared his throat. "Mrs. Miller, please stand up. You have the right to remain silent." When they led Karen away, she no longer cried. Her eyes burned with hatred as they passed Jamal. Marcus turned back to the boy. Jamal still stood there, soaked, trembling, yet steady. His eyes clear, unbroken. Marcus began, but his throat caught. He took a deep breath. "I was wrong. I let fear and prejudice blind me. I failed. Not just as a man, but as a father. An apology isn't enough, but I'm sorry." Jamal looked up at the powerful man before him and saw something new in his eyes, something fragile. He shook his head gently. "I'm okay, sir. Just make sure Leo's okay." The rain began to fade, leaving the world quiet again. And in that silence, something fragile yet real began to mend. Not just a misunderstanding, but faith itself. The next morning, the Vance estate was wrapped in a heavy silence. After the chaos in the park, Marcus had personally driven Jamal and Grandma Rose home, at first under the pretext of helping with the investigation. But when he saw the two of them, drenched, shivering, exhausted, he understood the truth. Some debts can't be paid with money or favors. Sometimes, gratitude simply means not letting someone return to loneliness. Sunlight streamed through the tall glass windows, glinting across the oak table where Jamal and Rose sat, two small figures swallowed by a living room larger than their entire apartment. The scent of polished wood, the ticking of a wall clock, the hum of central air. Everything felt foreign. Jamal sat upright, hands clasped, trying to steady himself, while Rose held his arm gently, afraid it might all vanish like a dream. Marcus entered, his shirt still wrinkled, his eyes tired but alert. He stopped in front of them, silent for a long moment before saying quietly, "Young man, I owe you more than an apology." Jamal opened his mouth, but Marcus raised a hand. "Last night, we reviewed the park's surveillance footage. We saw everything. How you jumped into the mud, how you carried my son without hesitation." His voice softened. "Not everyone would have done that. You saved Leo, and you saved me." Jamal lowered his eyes. "I only did what was right, sir." Marcus shook his head. "No, you did what no one else did, and that deserves recognition." He set a folder on the table, sliding it toward Jamal. "Karen will face charges for false reporting and defamation. But I don't just want justice for my son. I want it for you too, Jamal." He looked up, his eyes clear and sincere. "I want to help. I'll cover all of your grandmother's medical costs, and I've established a college fund, so you never have to choose between school and survival again." Jamal stared at him, speechless. Marcus leaned back, his tone firm but heartfelt. "But understand this, I don't do charity. This isn't a donation. It's an investment. I invest in people with extraordinary character. And you, Jamal Carter, are one of them." The room fell silent. Rose reached up, her hand trembling as it touched her grandson's shoulder, tears shining in her eyes. Jamal swallowed hard, his voice unsteady but resolute. "I'll accept, but only on one condition." Marcus raised an eyebrow, half curious, half surprised. "I'll still work weekends at Morton's," Jamal said. "Mr. Morton gave me a chance when no one else would. As for the college fund, please hold on to it until I really need it. And if Grandma gets better, I'll find a way to repay you." Marcus studied him for a long moment, then smiled faintly. The man who once measured life in profit margins now saw something rare in this thin, quiet boy. Dignity. He turned away, pretending to pour a glass of water to hide the sting in his eyes. "All right," he said softly, "but I have one condition too." Jamal looked up. Marcus's voice was low, warm. "Every Sunday, you and your grandmother will come here for dinner. Not as guests, but as family." Grandma Rose nodded, her smile trembling, and Jamal could only nod back, smiling through the quiet storm of emotion. In that sunlit room, 3 people from 3 different worlds sat together, and for the first time, none of them felt small. Weeks passed. Karen was prosecuted, and the Riverside Park incident made headlines as a rare story of compassion in a world too eager to judge. But Jamal didn't care for the spotlight. He kept working at Morton's, biking to school, caring for his grandmother. Every week, Leo called him, sometimes to talk about piano lessons, sometimes therapy, sometimes just to say, "You're my first real friend." One afternoon, Jamal passed by Riverside Park. The pond was calm now, the same bench still there, but the storm had long gone. He stopped and looked around. Across the path, an old homeless man dropped his bag, groceries spilling onto the pavement. People walked past. Some turned away, some shook their heads. No one stopped. Jamal watched for a moment, then stepped forward and knelt to help, picking up each fallen item carefully. No hesitation, no thought, just instinct, because some lessons don't need to be repeated. And some hearts, once they've chosen what's right, never forget how to stay that way. They say money changes people. They say scars never fade. But for Jamal Carter, nothing had changed at all. Money was just paper. Accusations were just noise. Kindness. That was the only thing that stayed pure. Grandma Rose once said, "The heart was made to help." Jamal. And now, in the rush of the city, that same heart kept doing exactly what it was born to do. This story doesn't need fireworks for an ending. Only one quiet truth. Kindness is never wasted. And if you believe that too, like, share, and subscribe to Toch Story, where every story reminds us that compassion still has a place in this world.